today I kind of want to talk about like this thing called grit, and a lot of this is from my personal experience, and then of course reading this book called Grit is a great book, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. You should check it out if you guys got time, or go on YouTube, get the summary, gives you a gist of it. So take some time, dive into that. But I want to talk about what brings success for a lot of people, and for myself as well, and for your own personal success, and for your own business success. So for me, growing up, I had a lot of failure, to be honest. Not great at school, not a good student, failing all the time. My parents was never happy with me. I felt like a failure all the time. Report card was always worse. The B's weren't good enough. The A's were okay. That's how my parents was anyway. It's an Asian thing, right? For some of you guys, D's and F was like the worst, but for me, it was B's. It wasn't good enough. I felt like B's weren't good enough, but I wasn't good. I wasn't that great at school. I had to taught myself everything. But when I was in high school, I felt like a failure a lot. But this one pivotal moment changed kind of like how I grew up, my teen and everything. So when I was in high school, I was asked to join a soccer team, and I never done anything like that ever in my life. I never played any organized sports. I kicked the ball around. We all kicked the ball around. We were having kids. We were fun. We were kids having a little bit of fun. So I was asked to join the soccer team, and I was like, sure, why not? Let's try to win. Let's see what my skills are. And to be honest, I was a terrible soccer player. I tried, but I was terrible. So I remember being out there in this hot, humid afternoon. Like, I'm talking about Louisiana is hot and it's wet. And I'm out here practicing. I remember this one time, that day where like I ate a bag of Cheetos because I was thinking this is gonna give me some energy because I'm hungry. And no one ever tell you shouldn't eat a bag of Cheetos before you runs for an hour. Because after an hour of running, I felt really sick. I felt nauseous, and I ended up spilling everything out on the side of the field. And I mean, I'm just saying that's how hard we train. Train really hard every day, on Saturdays too, for this upcoming soccer season. And I remember the first game, man, it was chilly outside near the end of the summer. It was fall, season started. We played this school called Terra High School, and it was a decent school. Everyone told me that. I was excited. I never played an organized game before ever in my life. Anyone who ever played organized sports, right? You guys know what it is. They're playing the first game. It's always like, oh my God, like, let's go. We trained for this. We arrive onto this field from our school bus, several hour driving. Got there early, stretched, warmed up, did some drills, the coach gave us a short speech to hype us up. So the whistle was blown. Everybody's on the field. We're running. Both sides wrestling for the ball. You guys watch FIFA World Cup. You know what I'm talking about. We're running, but it wasn't that organized, right? We're not a professional team, so it was kind of all over the place, actually. So we're just running to each other, running towards the ball. But the other team had better control. They had better runners. And eventually, they scored. Everybody's feel defeated, like, oh man, this sucks. Right, let's get it back. The coach, cheers on again. And so now I'm running around. I'm not sure what I'm doing. It's the first game ever in my life, organized sports. This ref running around blowing whistles. I'm like, what's going on? And eventually I run out of gas. Most of us ran out of gas. Everyone on my team ran out of gas. And the other team start taking this advantage. And so they rushed the goal. They started scoring more. Next thing you know, one score, two score, three goals, and the whistle blown, and we lost the game. So in that moment, you kind of sit there and reflected, like, all this training, all this practicing, all these drills, all the suffering, all the strategizing, and we still failed. Have you felt that way? You try so hard. You try so hard to be better. You study all night and day. You prepare all week. You didn't earn that grade. You didn't get that job. You didn't get that deal. You didn't get that client. I know some of us here, some of you guys are going through some struggle right now. You try every day. I tried every day. Some days you win and some days you don't. And the battle that you face and the stress that you face is real. You try, and it wouldn't work out. Who here know that feeling? I know that feeling, right? I know that feeling. Raise your hand if you know that feeling, right? You try so hard and it just didn't work out the way you wanted to. And I get that. Why am I sharing that with you? Because it's not about how many failures or how many times it didn't work out. It's about how you bounce back. It's how you bounce back, how you get back up, and how you get back up is more important than the actual win. That is what grit is all about. And I want to talk about that today. Because the more grit you have, the more you can get out of your life. So let's talk about what is grit. We hear this sometime, right? Grit. Somebody's gritty. Grit is like a combination of intense passion for something, right? And it joined with strong persistency. And that's what Angela Duckworth defines it as. She's done research on this, and if you read her books, you understand like all the research and the study that she's found. It's really interesting. It's not like talent or intelligence. You know, talent and intelligence is considered to be born, right? You think about somebody being born talented, somebody born beautiful, right? I wish I was born beautiful. I think I am, kind of, somewhat there. Right? Some of you guys are born beautiful as well. You got to think that way, okay? Nobody else is going to tell you you're beautiful. You got to think that way. But sometimes we say that, man, that person is talented. And we watch the Olympics right now. You're like, man, oh my God, these guys are talented, born with talent, right? But the truth is, grit is mostly about consistent, long-term effort and firmness of the mind. So it's not like talent or intelligence. Firmness of the spirit, unyielding courage in the face of hardship by Webster Dictionary. The ability to move forward after a setback or a failure. That's my personal favorite, right? Move forward after a setback. So for many of you who feel like they are gritty, you might be developing that when you're young. So I believe grit is a muscle. From my own experience, right? 6 years old, I came to America. Man, it's brutal. It's a battle. I failed a lot. I didn't know how to speak English. I was bad at school because I didn't know how to speak English. I didn't have anybody to teach me. So facing failures all the time. But how do you keep getting back up and keep moving forward, right? Some of you never faced failure because you were sheltered by your parents, and it's okay. And now you're getting failures, and sometimes you're afraid to face the failure because you're avoiding them. Some of you avoid facing failure because the pain of what others might think of you is worse than failing. So this keeps you from developing that grit, that mental toughness to get you through life. Some of us have more mental toughness than others. If you know some people that are just mentally strong, you're like, how can they be this way? Well, there's a way for you to develop that. Now, remember, it's impossible to have a life without failures because there will always be challenges that you won't succeed in because you're not perfect. So if you have kids, here's a lesson for you. Let them fail right now. Let them fail all the time. Fail as much as possible. Put them through things so that they purposely fail, so that you can go there and show them how to get back up. That's a life lesson for raising children. Honestly, I let my kids fail all the time. All the time. Give them something that's knowing that they will fail and then telling them it's okay. And that's a great way to build up that mental toughness because we want them to bounce back. Okay. So right now, how do we get more grit? How do we get more mental toughness? So everyone got it, okay? Everyone got it here. We all got some form of mental toughness. It's a muscle, but it's just how much do you develop it is up to you. Some have more, some have less, but we all have it, and you need that to get through it. So how do you develop mental toughness? Let's just go through some of the basics. Okay. Number one, you got to have a strong purpose. We always think about the purpose. What's the reason why you're doing any of this in the first place? Why are you going through this pain? Without a reason to do what you do, you don't have a clear sight on why you're doing it. And so every time something hard gets in front of you, you stop. You don't see beyond the wall that's in front of you. So you don't want to do whatever it takes to get through the wall. So having a strong purpose, focus on the purpose. Number two, I think this is really important for me is what is the identity that you see yourself as? Identity is really important. I learned something this past weekend. It was about being excellence. Excellence is not an action. Excellence is a spirit. It's a spirit of excellence. It's being excellent. First, you got to be excellence. You got to identify as a person that have excellence. For example, if you identify as yourself as a lazy person, you probably will never try. I'm lazy, so I'm not even going to try. Right? So it's about an identity. Are you a strong person? Are you a strong, committed person? So identify that right now. What is your identity? Or who do you want to be identified as? Think about that. I am a strong person. So I would do things that require me to be strong. If you identify I am a weak person, I will do things that are weak. Right? So there's an identity issue. People aren't lazy. It's just an identity issue. People aren't unconfident. It's just an identity issue. I'm a fearful person. That's who I am. That's why I don't want to try. That's why I don't want to do anything different. So set a new identity. What is your identity right now? Think about that. And then work towards becoming that person. And honestly, you probably have a bunch of different identity right now. You can say, I'm a father. But that's what is a father? So, I'm a strong father. Okay, what does that mean? So for me, my identity is that I'm a strong father. I'm a committed father. You know, for me, what that means is like I'm always there. I always show up for my kids. I do things that are hard. Right? Disciplining your children is hard. You love them. That's why you don't want them to cry. But hey, man, you got to correct them because if you don't, life will correct them later. Just remember that. So to be strong is to know that, hey, it's painful to discipline your kids sometimes. My mom told me all the time when she hit me, she was so upset and sad afterward. I was like, I never saw that part. I always saw you hitting me, and that was it. Right? Seemed like you enjoyed it most of the time because you hit me so much. If you're an Asian, if you grew up Asian in an Asian family, you know what I'm talking about. Like they beat you, and you're like, man, do they enjoy this? Right? Like they hit you so hard, like your parents hit you so hard. You're like, dang, like calm down. Like you look like, this is not like a wrestling match. You ain't got to do that. This is not kung fu training. So don't hit me that hard, please. Number three, lean into the pain. Just a reminder, we always got to lean into the pain. Somebody said trauma bonding. I like that. I'm gonna use that next time. Trauma bonding. That's what my parents did. But lean into the pain. Right? What we're doing is not comfortable. Going to gym hurt. It hurts all the time. Going to gym always hurt. But staying dedicated to it, to get a great body, to have a healthier lifestyle. Working on your business is painful. There's things I don't like doing. All those things that you don't like doing, it's gonna pay off. It's gonna give you the freedom and the choices that you're looking for in your life. Right? So lean into the pain. Don't run away from it. Dude, did you know that boredom is painful? So your brain doesn't know the difference between pain and pleasure. It does not. Boredom is painful, apparently. That's why you scroll on your phone all the time. Loneliness is painful. That's why people get addicted to games and movies and shows. Right? Anxiety, stress, all of those things are painful. But we don't think about it, right? We would think that, a tiger biting our leg is, man, that's painful. Right? We associate with physical pain, but we don't think about the emotional pain that we actually go through every day. And so when you feel those feelings is actually pain, and you will do things that get you to run away. So keep that in mind. Lean into the pain. If the work feels boring, you want to run away from it. But you know what you can do? Just hang on. Study shows that from 2 to 7 minutes, your brain's going to try to distract you. It's going to try to get you to do something that's pleasurable, TV, eating, dessert, drinking, whatever it may be, doing something that you're not supposed to do because you're focused on this boring work. Just hang on for 2 to 7 minutes. Actually, just set the timer for 10 minutes. And I promise you, you will ride through that urge to go do something else. 10-minute timer. Every time you want to go, let's say, scroll on social media, wait 10 minutes. If you can ride through for 10 minutes, I promise you, you will get focused again. Lean into the pain. Because boredom is one of those things where, your brain wants you to run away from. Because it's painful in the brain's eyes. Not because somebody's trying to kill you. It's bored, loneliness, anxiety, stress. All of those things are painful. So lean into the pain. Number 4, you got to have a growth mindset. Embrace all the challenges and, of course, learn from failures. And just treat every single failures that you have, every little mistakes that you have as an opportunity to grow. This will develop your abilities to have a strong foundation of grit. You got to have a growth mindset. All right, number 5, join a culture of grit. Surround yourself with people who are challenging yourself. Right? Challenging to strive, to achieve, to fail, right? Surround yourself with a culture that's going to help you strive as well. Like, who have a culture right now that gets them to strive? So one of my friend, he runs marathons every single week. And so now I know him and I've gotten very close with him. I run marathons as well. And I do things that are very painful. Like 2 weeks ago, 18 miles. I was like, why did I do that? I still think about that. Why did I do that? Because the guy just asked me. And I'm like, okay, sure. I want to be challenged as well. My leg still hurts. Still recovering 2 weeks. He's fine. He's still running 30 miles a week for some weird reason. He's been doing it consistently, right? I haven't. He's been doing it consistently. That's the difference between consistency and someone just doing it one time. And so join a culture of grit. Find a group that challenge you. Okay? Like join an art club. Who here tried drawing one time in their life? You're like, I suck at this. This is terrible. Nobody's gonna pay money for this, right? I did. I tried to draw a Bob Ross painting and it sucked. It's a terrible thing. Like you look at my paint, I'm like, man, those don't look like rocks, right? They don't look like rocks, but I tried. But imagine if you stay consistent, you will draw like Bob Ross, or you will become an artist. But the first time you do it, you're like, man, I feel like a failure. I feel like I suck. But that's the process of winning. You got to go through that process. So join a culture of grit. Find a group of people that will give you that chance to push yourself a little bit, challenge yourself, something that's painful, something that's new. Number 6, I think this is very important, man. Strive for God. Regardless if you guys are spiritual or not, if you guys believe in God, believe in a higher power, strive to connect spiritually because only God got your back. All right, that belief really changed who I am. And cultivate really the belief that the higher power is for you. God is for you, develop the faith for a better future. It's a simple thing. Like, why not even think about that? It's a no-brainer, man. Like, just think that God is for you and God has a better future for your life. Like, why is it so hard to do that? Because why fight it alone when you got 10 other people fighting with you? Like, who wants to go anywhere alone? Like, it just sucks doing it alone. You won't go very far. And it's going to help you succeed. To me, I think God and grit equals greatness. Your effort, your hard work, the 99% of the work that you do, plus that 1% of God's luck, it's going to give you that greatness. That's all you need. The last one, man, this is just a reminder. I think this is important. Just be consistent. If you're not being consistent on what you do, how are you going to get anywhere? Be consistent through tough times. Be consistent through challenges. Be consistent when you get criticized, when you get negativity. Be consistent when you have fear and have doubt. Dude, grit is developing that mental toughness muscle. And it needs training, and you got to do it every day. You and I both need training every day. I'm going to be honest, I do. My kids drive me crazy. My work drives me crazy sometimes. The clients aren't very happy sometimes. So I have to like, come on, man, you got to keep going, right? Like, complaining to me ain't going to change your life. But I can only do so much. If I hold your hand and walk you through the path along the way and you never learn how to do it yourself, then I'll be there for the rest of my life holding your hand, right? You don't want to do that. You want to be growing on your own, like carving your own path. So example of training these things daily, like for me, I write 30 minutes every day. I read a book every day for 30 minutes. I'm not telling you guys to do that, but I challenge myself to do that because when I read, I'm able to write. And when I write, I become creative. It's just a thing for me. You know, some of you guys, I read the Bible every day for 30 minutes. That's just me. What I used to do, I consume positive content every day for 30 minutes every day on my drive to work, on my drive home. Every chance I get, I listen to positive, optimistic content. And it helps a lot because your mind is always so negative already. Why feed it with more negativity? You need something to keep you going. And that's what I call consistency, right? Showing up to the gym every day is consistency. You know, for my kids, I spend 60 minutes a day with them, uninterrupted. With them, no phone, no distraction, nothing else. Just playing with them for 60 minutes. Why did I say 60 minutes? Because, hey, man, that's the time I'm willing to focus. And it's okay. I'd rather have focused time than 5 hours of wasted, useless time. So that's just a reminder. Don't do this for the next 90 days. So what is it that you're going to commit to for the next 90 days or for the rest of your life? Is it learning something new for 30 minutes every day? Do it for the rest of your life. Like I never stopped learning. I never stopped growing. You know, it's not when you feel like doing it that matters the most. It's when you don't want to. It's when it hurts the most. It's when it sucked the most. It's when you feel the worst. It's when your grit and mental toughness is developed the most. So I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was swimming. I was doing like a mile swim. I don't normally swim. I'm a terrible swimmer at the beginning, dude. I barely could swim. It's terrible, but I started training. And so now, you know, a month in, I'm like, hey, I can swim now. I swam for a mile, and this one day I showed up. I did not want to go at all. This one day I felt bad. I just was tired, just cranky. It felt good, but I showed up anyway. And it took me longer than usual. So it took me like an hour and 30 minutes besides the normal like hour it would take. But to me, that day made a big difference because it mattered the most because I didn't say, hey, I don't feel good. I'm not going to go. So when you don't want to do something, the most is when you got to do it. Just remember that. That's a strong mindset to have. That's how you develop mental toughness. It's when you don't want to do something. When you don't want to do it is when you got to do it. Remember, no matter what happened, you stay consistent because it's who you are. It's your identity. I'm a consistent person. I'm a committed person. That's who I am. We all have different identities. I know. Some of us identify in many different things. You know, I'm a rabbit. I identify as a rabbit. I'm just kidding. That's another conversation. But some of you guys might get that. But just remember, it's your identity, right? It's your identity. Be consistent through the tough times. Everyone here has a mission. You have a mission. I have a mission. What is your mission? If you forget your mission, write it down right now. What is your mission in life? We all got a mission. You have a mission. Keep showing up for it and never give up on the mission.